It all started when Missouri wanted to become a state, and the debate whether it should be a slave or free state erupts very suddenly. Thomas Jefferson describes it like a fireball in the night. If it were a slave state, this would involve slavery west of the Mississippi River, where there was no clear line if it would be a free or slave state. This is why it is such a controversial argument. James Tallmadge, a New York Republican, steps in and provokes this argument by introducing the Tallmadge Amendments, which he thinks will solve the problem.
To solve this debate, I believe we should pass Missouri as a slave state. In addition to that, there would be no more slaves imported to Missouri, and all children of slaves would have to be freed at the age of 25.
I don't think that this is a good idea. It's not fair to the northern states if there is another slave state.
I think it is the best way to settle the debate between the North and the South. I do not necessarily agree with slavery, but there is not much else we could do to come to an agreement.
There is a lot of downsides to slavery. It would be much more effective if Missouri was a free state. The transportation of slaves into the state is a huge cost and burden to us.
The South is also dependent on slavery. We also have to be reasonable. We have to be fair to both the free and the slave states and try to please both of them. If we made Missouri a free state, then the South would be outraged. This way, we can at least assure slavery will die down in the state eventually, since no more slaves will be allowed to be imported, and children of the slaves are freed at the age of 25.
It's not that fair to the north. Yes, slavery would die down eventually, but that would take a really long time. Right now, the north gets nothing out of it, and what if they start smuggling slaves into the state? That would extend the amount of time slavery is in the state.
We should also be focusing on why slavery is inhumane. In the Declaration of Independence, it states that people have the right to live, the right to be free, and the right to seek happiness. It also says that all men are created equal. These are people, and they should have the same rights as us. We fought hard for our independence, and we shouldn't use it in ways like this. This country is supposed to be a free country. We don't want to be known as a slave country.
Adding in Missouri as a slave state could be the start of more states becoming slave states. This could lead to an overpopulation of slaves they could outnumber us and start a revolution.
But if we upset the South, then they could also start a revolution. It is really difficult to please both sides, but I just believe this would be the best way.
The House approved the Talmadge Amendment, but later the Senate shut the idea down and the amendment did not pass.
A new idea was introduced by the U.S. Senate and House of Representatives to try and keep an equal amount of free and slave states. They would admit Missouri as a slave state and then Maine as a free state.
It would then prohibit any more slave states from the territory of the Louisiana Purchase of the 3630 North latitude.
This was known as the Missouri Compromise of 1820, which was passed by the Senate on March 2, 1820, and the House of Representatives on February 21, 1821.
After it was passed, it settled down the debate of slavery for the time being.